Hello and welcome back to another episode of Israel Unleashed. And I don't know, I want to sit and talk about education and stuff like that. You know, I was having an interesting conversation the other day with a friend of mine and stuff like that. We were talking about like education from when we were children and stuff like that. And you know, the kind of education that we got, and we're also looking at like, you know, how like, you know, technology's advanced and you have computers. I mean, I had computers back in 1986 when we were in school, and I was like in 5th grade is when the first computer came out and stuff like that. And I mean, it's come a long way since then and stuff like that. But I mean, I actually was fortunate that I went to a public school in a private area and stuff like that, and I didn't go to a regular public school like out in the big city. Yeah? So my school was known for the high education standards that they gave to their students and stuff like that. So in reality, I got a very good education and stuff like that. I can't complain, you know. I'm actually very happy for them. Plus, we're a very close-knit community, and we're almost like family, and we also stayed together. And the funny thing is, I'm 30 years out of high school, if not longer, and we still stay together. And honestly, on Facebook, as much as I hate Facebook, we all still seem to talk and stay together and get together for reunions and stuff like that and whatever, and we talk with each other about lives and share our families' pictures and stories and all sorts of stuff, which, you know, I find interesting, you know, because it's everybody I went to high school with, which is fascinating actually in a way. But you know, I mean, I talked to a couple of friends and stuff like that. You know, they don't really talk to people from school. They didn't really think that they got the greatest education, and you know what they do know is from life examples and you know, things that have happened to them and stuff like that. This is where they get their knowledge. I mean, obviously, learning is something that happens daily, from the moment you were born to the moment that you die and stuff like that. You know. Educating yourself doesn't ever stop. It's a constant flow, honestly. You learn, this is how you learn about what life's all about and why you're here and who you're really supposed to be and who you are, you know what I mean? So this is education and stuff like that. But the fact that you have computers today and technology, and you have ungodly amount of information on the internet, where us as children didn't have that on the internet and stuff like that, which makes it interesting. We actually had to use our minds. Today you don't have to use your minds as much as you used to. Back then you actually had to physically write things and do things and prepare things and present things like you don't have to today. But nowadays you have computers to do that. I mean, a lot of times you go to schools, you see kids with laptops and stuff like that learning and stuff, which presents the mind to work quicker and educate itself faster than it did when we were children. So I find that interesting, yeah. But the fact that, like, you know, you have that knowledge today, I mean, I can only imagine if we were back then, had that kind of knowledge, and where I'd be today, if would I be smarter, or would I even know more and stuff like that. I mean, funny thing is that I test myself about how I don't really educate myself, but how much I know, you know what I mean? So I like to play trivia games and stuff like that, and it's amazing sometimes how much I know, and I find that fascinating, you know what I mean? You're bringing up stuff that's inside your mind, because, you know, your mind remembers what it wants to remember and stuff like that. But, you know, the information's always there, which I find interesting. I mean, your mind is definitely almost like the computer. The computer just works faster, you know what I mean? But, you know, your mind's there, you know, the information's there. And, so I'm playing trivia games and stuff like that, and even stuff that I don't know, I guess, and, you know, sometimes I guess right, which is surprisingly too, but, you know, I mean, but it's amazing somehow how much that you can know and how much you can handle in your brain, you know what I mean? And stuff that you haven't thought about for years, when it comes up, and how much you remember crystal clear, you know what I mean? It just shows how interesting the brain is, you know what I mean, and like the capacity of it and how we can retain this information, yeah. I mean, like, you know, a lot of times sometimes I hear music and stuff like that, like, you know, I can remember when it came out I'm almost 50, but I mean, I can remember stuff that came out almost 50 years ago, and it's like I can take myself to that moment, and I can almost picture myself literally back at that point in my life, right when I was a child, or when I first heard it, you know what I mean? It's like, it's like the surroundings are the same, the air is the same. It's like literally you can transport yourself to a situation that happened so long ago, and it's another fascinating thing that's interesting. I'm using music as an example because the knowledge that you can retain in your head, what I mean? The fact that you can retain this kind of stuff it's fascinating, you know what I mean? I don't think people are aware sometimes what we're capable of doing, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times people take what you're capable of doing for granted, you know what I mean? And they don't realize what kind of power that you have, you know what I'm saying? We all have some sort of power to do. We're not superheroes, that's for sure. But I mean, sometimes you have powers of retaining and knowing and knowledge that, that can stay with you. It actually bring you up in a higher chance of enlightenment, which is also interesting and stuff like that. Sometimes I find myself arguing on social media. Not really arguing with people, but I find myself using life experiences in what I like to call enlightenment with people and stuff like that, and it's pure wisdom, you know what I'm saying? You've gone through certain things in life, and you're using wisdom and enlighten on people, and they don't know how to respond to you when you use this kind of stuff. I mean, I have people who like to sit and try to argue with you, and they have this strategy where they want to fight with you and use this dumbass technique of their political views or how they view the thing and whatever, and they just do it on purpose to get an agitation out of people and stuff like that. But once you use wisdom and enlightenment on people, they don't know what to do with you, man. They don't even know how to respond to you, and a lot of times it makes them angry. And I notice on Facebook sometimes people block me because of this, because they don't want to speak to me because of this kind of enlightenment that I give them on certain events that I have. So I find it interesting. Back to where I started from, I'm saying how education's everything, Me coming from America and stuff like that, it's amazing how many people have followed through the cracks, I'm saying? As a child, you feel like you know everything, You don't really have fears to things, but you do have fears to things, and, you think you know everything and stuff like that. I grew up like an idiot, man. I grew up and I act like I knew everything, and once I became 20-something years old, I realized I knew nothing, And it was a reality check, My mother still laughs at me today because of this, I'm saying? She knew that moment was going to come, and I had to face it, And she was right. So she can laugh at me, and I let her laugh at me and whatever. So you live and you learn, But education's everything, Knowing stuff and having facts and being able to handle yourself and being able to talk about people about the knowledge that it helps a lot, I'm saying? If you know nothing, then it's a pointless conversation, but when you sit with somebody who can actually, basically intrigue you and boggle your mind and open you up to a point, and if you didn't know something, educate you and stuff like that. I have people that I've met and stuff like that and whatever, and they still intrigue me and stuff like that. I had hours where I sat with people and had conversations that were deep, and knowledgeable, and the wisdom that these people gave me was it's something you hold with yourself for life, And it's a person who gives it to you that you can never forget, because it's something that they burned into your mind, It's they intrigue you enough that, you know where you got that information from, which helps. But, I see a lot of people who I know that went to school with me and stuff like that, and they didn't care less about educating themselves, and life was about partying and having a good fucking time. Of course, you have to have that, whatever. I did that myself, and sometimes I realize I look back at it now, I should have been a little more serious about my education. I was, but I wasn't. I could have done a lot better than I did, and you look back and you see things now and stuff like this. It makes things a lot more clear. But you have people, and I've met a lot of people who've never had really an education at all, and I'm not saying that they're stupid, but sometimes they're impossible to talk to because they know nothing. You know what I mean? You want somebody to stimulate you and share. You don't have to share the same facts and the views as I do, but you want somebody to not really put up a fight with you, but kind of give you a side, give you a side of something that obviously you might not know about, but open your eyes to it, and then you make up your mind and your own decision and stuff like that and whatever. But the fucked up thing is I see people more today that are more like, they know nothing and they act like sheep. They believe anything and everything that they're telling you. They don't make up their own mind, and I honestly find that scary, you know what I mean? I find that, if you're not going to make up your own decision or your own opinion or follow your own heart and believe in yourself, you're like a lost cause, That's why I feel that those people are kind of sheep, and you see more and more people like that today than ever. And I've watched education just kind of, go down, and when I was a child, education was everything, and the government to some point dumped all sorts of fucking money into that education and tried to give you things because, you realize you go to places like Cuba, for example, or Russia, you were only able to learn certain things, and they only taught you what they wanted you to know. And society as a whole doesn't want to keep people. They don't want smart people. They want stupid people. They want people who are going to listen, do their bidding, say jump, and you're going to say how high. And if you're in that position, then you have problems. If you don't agree with something and stuff like that. I'm not saying to go out and be a martyr or, stuff like that, but you should stand up for what you believe in. If you don't believe in what you believe in, then, you got problems. It just shows the kind of education that you have, you know what I mean? I see a lot of people, I live in the Middle East, and I see a lot of people who are young ages, they quit school, they go work for the family to help their family, to feed them and support them and all that kind of stuff, and in the end, they are in certain situations where they go out and do violence and stuff, and then you see nowadays people get paid for this kind of shit, and they don't care if they kill themselves. You know what I mean? Is that educating yourself? That's not education. That's you following an ideology and a cause that that has no outcome. You know what I mean? I don't know. You're seeing the difference between Eastern education and Western education. Western education's all over the place. You need metal detectors at doors and stuff because kids are bringing guns to school and killing one another and shooting each other and fighting on outside of school. They ain't learning. They're doing stuff that criminals do. You know what I'm saying? It's just an education to become a criminal. You go to China, Japan. You got these people who are educating themselves all year long. They don't have breaks, which I find disturbing because they also have a high rate of suicide because of this, and and that's so unhealthy. You know what I'm saying? But it's just their culture. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. But I just find it scary. But the fact that they are getting educations and stuff like that, and they're actually having young children who are computer wizards, who have undoubtable knowledge to move forward into the world, man, and be the next generation that steps up and becomes leaders and stuff like that. Compared to the Western civilization, which is basically crumbling itself, you know what I'm saying? And it's you've given everybody everything that they ever wanted, and they're still not happy, you know what I'm saying? You're putting these people and they're focusing, and their whole goal, their whole everything is around educating themselves, and you see the difference. We live in such an interesting world, man, and the way that people handle themselves and care about themselves, and the directions countries want to seem to take on certain things, and it's man's conquest for power, you know what I'm saying, through the use of young children and stuff like that, because the younger you get, the younger people are, you see how they're more active in a lot more things than you were as a child, you even have really young ass kids these days doing drugs, younger than people who were at my age were doing drugs. You know what I mean? And you see people younger and younger get involved in doing things that you don't see people when we were younger doing. And there's a big difference. Society is it's changing. And knowledge is at our fingertips, as they say. You know what I mean? We're using our eyes and ears to soak it all up. The fact is that some people are what they call left behind is even more interesting because they're falling through the cracks. And you see education going down and it's worse and worse. But in other countries, they ain't stopping, you know what I'm saying? They got goals, they got plans, like China. Look at China. Education there is insane. I mean, they take more of a workload than you at such a young age compared to what you've ever probably taken in your whole life. And you're going to see these people dominate the world next because, you know, they're going to have all the communication, the technology and everything in their hands to do what's next. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, as you see these days, wars aren't really fought on the battlefield face to face like they used to be. They also battled cyberly on the computer and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You see countries battling each other on the computer and attacking countries like infrastructure and education and banks and all sorts of stuff. And they're doing this on purpose, you know what I'm saying? And they're teaching young kids to do this, you know what I mean? People who are younger than you and me, man, watching this right now, are at a desk with a computer attacking you and you don't even know it, man. They know your whole information, your whole life story before you even know it. And you should find that scary because, you know, there's no rights, no privacy or anything like that anymore, man. We're living in a whole other world that you've never lived in when you grew up in, you know what I'm saying? Things have changed that much, you know what I mean? And education is something you should never stop, you know what I'm saying? It should be something that continues to the day you die. I don't care if you go to high school when you're 50, you know what I'm saying? If you go back and you get the education that you need, or if you need to go to college, you should go do it. My father, for example, he went to college. He didn't graduate high school, but he went to college when he was almost 60 years old, and spent 4 years and graduated with honors. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my hat is off to this man because he did that. The only man his age at the university that actually did that. And I'm pretty sure he's not the first, he's not the last. But the fact that he knew that he should further himself and get an education that he never got when he was a child is a big step, and it's an amazing. For me to him, my hat is off for him. I mean, he's since now passed, you know, last year or whatever, he's passed away. But I mean, when he was here, he realized that he should educate himself, and he had a great amount of knowledge. He read the newspaper every day, played the crossword puzzles. He had a very high vocabulary, even higher than mine. I mean, he knew a lot more words than me, and you know, very impressive. He always, you know, even though he didn't go to finish high school, he had a thirst and quench for knowledge that, you know, that other people don't have. And he was a free thinker. He thought for himself. He didn't take shit from anybody, and he didn't bow down to anybody. He went head into things and stuff like that, and I encourage a lot of people to be like that. You should go head into things, and you should have knowledge, and you should have power, because that's the way you're going to be able to handle yourself. If you don't have the facts and the knowledge and the wisdom and the enlightenment and the power, then you have no way to handle yourself in this life. And it's important that you have this kind of stuff, because if you can't handle yourself in life, then you have no direction in life. Direction is everything. This is why education is important, and this is why every single day you should educate yourself with something new. You shouldn't be afraid to try something new. If you want to go out and jump out of a plane tomorrow, well, let alone, I don't know, you didn't have much of an education, but you need to learn to jump out of a plane, obviously. But we'll say tomorrow you want to go fly a plane and stuff like that, you obviously have to go learn. Do it. Don't stop yourself. I encourage you. You know what I mean? Do what it takes. Don't be afraid. Don't let things or people put you down or keep you stupid and stuff like that. Go out of your way to experience what you want to experience, because life is too short, you know what I mean? Don't waste time and dream about stuff. If you got a dream, and set a goal and make it happen, you know what I mean? I encourage you, and I give you my blessing, you know? Do what it takes. Live life. You know what I'm saying? Don't be scared of things and stuff like that. What will be, will be. What will happen with or without you. But live life to the fullest. Take leaps and bounds, and don't be afraid. You know, jump. You'll hit the other side, man. There will be a bridge waiting underneath. You'll hit the other side. You'll get there. Don't be afraid. Take that step. Do what it takes to get to where you need to be, because you're only serving a purpose for yourself. You know what I mean? And that's the most important thing. This is a lesson of life, you know what I'm saying? This is what you should be doing, and you should never give up. If you don't feel strong enough to move forward that day, take a rest. Wake up the next morning, start again. you always fail in life, you know what I'm saying? But you always have to get back up and you have to try again. It's like riding a bike. You fall off, you get back on, you fall off, you get back on. And in life, if you fall down 5 or 6 times, so what? It's okay. As long as you try and you don't ever give up. Because you will master it, you'll be able to do it, and you'll never have a problem with it, and you'll be able to move on to the next thing. Knowledge is key. Using your brain to the fullest, I can't express in words. Do what you gotta do. Don't be afraid. Don't let your personal feelings or fears hold you back. Step out of your comfort zone and take that leap and be who you need to be. You never know where you're going to go or what you're going to be and who you're going to be. Always take chances. You might fail, but it doesn't mean you're not going to succeed one day. You understand? It's like going for a job. You might go for 100 jobs, but at least one, you might, even after 100 jobs, they don't work out for you, you'll have that one that does. And it will bring you to where you need to be. Uplift yourself. Have the knowledge, have the power, and the enlightenment to get closer to where you need to be. Because once you have that, obviously, even in religion, you're even closer to God. And being closer to God is everything, because that's where you want to be. To feel His warmth, His power, and His blessing above you to give you what you need. But have faith, have the strength, have the courage, be able to jump, take that leap, and you'll get to where you need to be. Don't have any fears. If you fail, get back up and do it again. And I strongly encourage you to always educate yourself and never give up, because knowledge is key in this world. Today, it's not about how you're going to use your hands, it's about how you use what's upstairs here. And that's what's most important. So keep that in mind. And if you have any questions or answers that, I'd be more than happy to express my feelings or give people my advice, not my experiences and stuff like that. I'd be happy to entertain you and share my story with you. So hopefully we hear something from you. Much love, peace, and happiness to all of you. Please pray and, encourage people you don't know with love and devotion and thanks, because you never know what people are going through today, man, and that will change. That can change an attitude of everybody, and being positive is exactly where we need to be today. We're living in a world of darkness and in hate that's engulfing a lot of people, so I encourage you to lift yourselves up, please, and be strong. Love will conquer all, even the hate that we see daily, so remember that. And much love, peace, and happiness from Israel Unleashed.